see if I can see on the page. And then I'll start. Okay, I think we should be good now. ちょっと先に日本語で、イントロをさせていただきます。本日、ホストとして担当させていただきます、カフェトークのまゆと申します。よろしくお願いいたします。はい、今までドイツ語シンポジウムとか担当させていただいたんですけど、今回初めて英語のシンポジウムで、国際女性デーということで、こちらのテーマについて、世界中様々な講師からご紹介をさせていただきます。で、今回ですね、こちら4人の講師のプレゼンテーションを用意してさせていただいたので、一人ずつちょっとゆっくりテーマを共有していただいて、プレゼンを行っていきたいと思います。で、こちらですね、セミナー資料も画面の右側にありますので、セミナー資料というところをクリックしていただきまして、で、ダウンロードもしくは別のウィンドウで表示っていうのをクリックすれば、見ることができますが、それぞれの講師からも画面共有で、ゆっくり、話していきますので、そちらでも確認いただけます。はい。では、一人一人の、テーマと、あと、お名前の方をご紹介させていただきます。まずですね、一番最初にはヤラ先生ですね。テーマは、忘れられた女性たち、覚えておきましょう。と、その後はですね、カルメン先生、スペインの教師なんですが、スペインと日本における文化の違い。で、3番目にはランディス先生ですね。19世紀アメリカにおける女性の権利と、あとはですね、選挙権をめぐる戦い。で、最後にはロニー先生、英語でフェミニスト詩を読む方法についてご紹介させていただきます。何かご質問とかあれば、英語でも日本語でも大丈夫ですので、気軽に右側のチャットボックスから送っていただければ、それぞれ回答させていただきます。はい。もし何か画面が見えないとか問題がありましたら、右下の、お気軽にご質問くださいというところから、ご連絡いただければスタッフが対応させていただきます。はい。And I'll also do like a short intro in English. We'll be doing most of the presentation today in English. I'll be picking up little words here and there. I'll be your host tonight. My name is Mayo and my pronouns are they, them. Thank you for joining me here today for the very special 7th English Symposium. It's a very special topic. Today, we are joined by tutors all over the world to be presenting about topics related to the International Women's Day. A little bit about International Women's Day. It's a global holiday, and this is really just from Wikipedia, but it's celebrated annually on March 8th, which is today, to commemorate the cultural, political, and socioeconomic achievements of women all around the world. So, if you have any questions, please let us know via the chat box on the right side of the screen. And yeah, we'll have a little bit of time after each presentation to talk about if you have any questions or anything. So please let us know. And I think we can just start now with Yara whenever you're ready. And if you could just share screen. Hi, Jeff. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello to everyone, and thanks for joining us. And thank you so much for Cafe Talk, Mayo, and Astrid, and everyone for organizing this super cool presentation and talk. So, as Mayo said, I'm talking about forgotten women. So I'm just going to be presenting it. Here we go. So, Forgotten Women. I was highly inspired by a book called Forgotten Women, which I recommend, where the author lists 48 different women who she believes are forgotten in history and encourages people to try to remember them. Today I'm focusing on 2 women in particular who rewrote our constitutions. So, let's get started. So why forgotten women? Apparently, only 0.5% of recorded history talks about women. But they make up half of the world's population, so why weren't they not included? Well, of course, it's because they weren't allowed to do almost anything. And in many places today, they still are not allowed to do many things. And we always read about brave men, brave women, brave men who are strong and change the world, but we rarely read about brave, strong women. And to this day, sadly, women all over the world suffer unequal treatment, unequal pay, and maybe also verbal or even physical abuse. But I'm hopeful that with days like today, Women's Day, we can raise awareness of the everyday unfairness that women face, and many other minorities, but I guess today is about women. So, some vocabulary. Hunger strike is when you protest by starving or not eating, like what Gandhi was very famous for. Grant somebody something is when you allow somebody to do something. Blacklisting someone is when you ruin someone's reputation in this context. House arrest is when someone legally is not allowed to leave their house, so they have to stay at home. Total isolation, being completely alone. Silver lining is the positive thing in a maybe negative thing. So we'll have a look at all of these in a moment. Unite is to connect, and demand is when you strongly ask for something. So, the first woman we're talking about today is Darya Shafi. So who was she, and why should we remember her? She was an Egyptian rebel, a feminist poet, editor, and she was one of the main leaders of the women's liberation movement in Egypt in the 40s. So part of the people that tried to really change the system to have more rights for women. The reason why she's famous, or should be famous, is because after women were rejected any political rights, she went on a hunger strike with 8 other women for 8 days. And 8 days later, the international media talked about her, recognized her efforts, and this forced the government to grant women the right to vote. So, thanks to Darya Shafi, women were finally allowed to vote in the constitution, which was a very amazing achievement, I think. Some more information about her. When she was young, she really tried her best to learn, even though it was very difficult for women in Egypt at the time. And she managed to even go to France, where she completed 2 degrees, including a PhD, which is super amazing. And not only was she smart, she was also beautiful. She competed in the Miss Egypt competition, coming second place to a lady who eventually went on to win Miss Universe. So, a real gem. And sadly, though, after her protest and fame, the president at the time of Egypt, Abdel Nasser, wanted to keep power for himself, and he ordered her to house arrest and blacklisted her name. So this meant that everywhere in society, people wouldn't talk to her. They couldn't talk to her because they were afraid they would also get in trouble. She spent almost 20 years at home in total isolation by herself, with only some visits from her family from time to time. And sadly, she committed suicide and fell off her balcony when she was only 66 years old. But I hope that, and I know that her legacy continues to live on, because thanks to her, women in Egypt can still vote today. A funny side note about Darya Shafi is that yesterday I showed my mom this presentation, and my mom told me that she's heard the story before. It sounded like the story of her friend's grandmother. And indeed, it turns out Darya Shafi is my mother's friend's grandmother.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, super cool. Real coincidence. Honto guzen. So, next woman, Beate Sirota Gordon. Who was she? Super cool backstory. A Ukrainian feminist, born in Vienna, Austria, raised in pre-World War Japan for 10 years, where she went to a German school and then an American school, or the American school in Tokyo. She was raised by Jewish Ukrainians and spoke fluent Japanese, English, French, German, and Russian. Such a boss. And the reason her family moved to Japan is because her father was a pianist and they were escaping Nazi Austria. And he got offered a position to teach as a piano professor in Tokyo. So pretty interesting family. She's most famous, or should be famous, for helping to rewrite the Japanese constitution. Now, although the topic of the US rewriting the Japanese constitution is definitely quite controversial, and understandably so, one possible silver lining was that she was part of the team to help write the new constitution. And she wrote 2 articles, 14 and 24, which demanded legal equality between women and men. So I think that's a really great thing, because before that, apparently, it was not part of the Constitution that women had equal rights, or any rights maybe, to men at all. So not only was she politically involved in some way with Japan and women's rights, but she also worked really hard to unite Eastern and Western cultures through something quite beautiful, art, working at the Asia Society and Japan Society, I believe, in the States, in New York, as a performing arts director for decades, actually. And for her efforts, she even received the Japanese Order of the Sacred Treasure Award in 1998. And yeah, likewise, I hope her legacy continues to live on and people continue to unite cultures from all over the world. So thank you very much, and happy Women's Day to everyone.
Thank you so much. This is really great. I was specifically very touched by the story of Beate Shorta Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really, I really have to read into that a little bit more, because I didn't know about her. And as you said, these women are all part from the book you showed at the beginning, right?
Well, actually, the second woman I found by chance, but the first woman was part of the book.
Oh, I see. Thank you. But that looks really interesting. I think I'll definitely have to get that book.
Yes, and here I have some references, so you definitely
thank
Wikipedia
you.
and some other things, but the book as well. Yeah.
Thank you. ありがとうございます。特に今回、2人の女性についての、ご紹介だったと思うんですが、エジプトのこのドリア・シャフィックさんと、あとはもともとウクライナ出身で日本にも暮らしていて、なんと日本語、英語、フランス語、ドイツ語とロシア語も話せたというベアテさんなんですが、フェミニストはもう本当、なんていうんですかね、どんな時代でもすごく頑張っていて、歴史的に残るような活動がいっぱいあったみたいですので、すごく感動するプレゼンだったと思います。はい。Thank you, Yara.
Thank you. Thank you so
何か
much.
ご質問とかあれば、いつでも。はい。We got one comment that says, Thank you, Yara. Such an interesting story.
Thank you.
Okay. また、はい。他にご質問あれば、please send us a comment. And otherwise, I would give the mic to Carmen. If you could start your presentation, please.
Yes. Hello to everybody. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you to Mayo and to organize this event. I'm very happy to be here. And then we are talking about the cultural differences between Spain and Japan for common people that for me is really similar now. And thank you, because now the things are changing a little bit. So let's do it. Okay, is here. Okay, this is the cultural differences between Spain and Japan. I write this España and Japón because I'm a Spanish teacher. So here in Spain, In Spain, for common people, for example, the age of my mom's or something, the women was normally not to work and take care for the kids and by home. And actually, they didn't think to do a lot of things for common people. Obviously, there are great women that they could be studying or something, but most of the people can do it that. Okay. For example, for my mom, she never thinks about working because with people, they haven't a lot of money or to study. It's just, it's better for you. If you are looking for a husband, this your life, nothing more, and work at home. But actually it was a work because she was always cleaning the house at home, caring about the family. My dad, for example, was working, and after that, my mom was working at home. Now it's like a work because they work very hard to do that. I think when I was living in Japan was almost the same because was the almost the same. They was normal and common not to work neither and take care about the kids at homes. And I was so surprised when my friends told me that it's better. Okay, it's better to take a career or something, but it's more important. I was be shocked about that. Looking for a good boyfriend than a good job, because a lot of my friends, obviously not all of my friends, but mostly people thinks that. Now it's changing. Thank you. And I think it's very, very nice to do that. Okay. In the study time, for example, the maybe the education in Spain was almost similar because, okay, I have to study here, but maybe it's better for me to do another things. Why? Because maybe they don't earn the same amount of money. If you are a woman, it's very difficult, I think. For example, if I'm a photographer, I have to do all the things, but it must be better than a man. It's easier to be a man because always was, okay, you're a photographer. It's so nice. I will pay for your work. But when you are a woman, it's, no, please, you have to, to have a very good demonstration that you can do it now. And you can do it better than a man or similar. But always is the undervaluation of that. But now you choose. What do you want to do? Okay. And for example, what do you think is nice to be a woman in Japan? They have to be nice, fightable, the kawaii, or not complaining. If you are good to cook, you are going to be a very nice woman for your man. This happens now. This is to debate, but jibunde no kangai, yes or not? It's just to think about that. And in Spain, for example, for my women, they must know all about women. Now we have got a lot of examples on TikTok. My mom knows we're all at home. Not my dad. If I have to think, where is my jacket? My mom, always. It's like a joke, but actually, this is true, and it happens. I don't know if it's good or not. Maybe we have to think about that. You have to be sexy. Of course, if you are Spanish, you have to take care at home. You have to make up because, why are you not makeup? In Spain, it's so important. Not like kawaii is sexy. You have to be powered. Okay. But Spanish women always try to express her opinion, but always try. It's like, okay, you are talking about that, but you are always complaining is not good, And apaña. This is so Spanish expression because you have to be good women or sexy, and you have to know about all of that. Okay, if you cook, you have to cook so good, but so fast. You have to go out and you have to make up so fast. It's always you have to be prepared for something. And then there are a lot of my conclusion. We have differences and similarities. And the most important thing for me is saying it to according to how you choose and fight to meet all your goals. And have to be strong women to fight, and happy Women's Day.
Thank you. That was great. I was also really interesting to hear about like the differences of how you perceive women to be in Spanish. And I'm pretty sure like, you know, there's gender roles and that are like pushed onto women in every culture that they just appear differently. And I feel like it's always important that we become more aware of, you know, I feel like seeing how things work in different cultures makes you more aware of how different, sorry if I'm making no sense. For like Japan, for example, there's like a really set way where women are expected to be, for example, if like you said, Spanish women are, expected to express their opinions. And in Japan, I feel like it would be the other way around. So that's really interesting to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. 日本語でもそうですね、スペインや、日本の女性の違い、女性の違いというよりは文化、社会として女性から期待しているものの違いに関してのプレゼンでしたので、それぞれどういった、そうですね、自分が住んでいる社会、自分が活動している社会では、女性に対してはどういった期待とかが置けられているのかっていうのをもう再度別の国とかと比べてみるのって、なんていうんですかね、こう意識をまた高められるかと思うので、すごく興味深かったです。Thank you, Carmen. And yeah, we're a little bit ahead of time, but we don't have any comments right now. So why don't we just go ahead, Landis, whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. All right, hello everyone. Thank you. I'm honored to be a part of this panel. Thank you to Mayo and Madeline and everyone at Cafe Talk. All right, and happy Women's Day to everyone too. All right, so let me share my screen. Let's see. All right, okay. Let me move it to slideshow. Okay, yes, there we go. All right. Yes, good. All right, so my lesson is on the women's fight for voting and clothing reform. All right, so when I am not an English teacher, I am a fashion historian as well, and I focus on how women's clothing changed and how it got less restrictive on the body. Now, the fight for the vote and clothing reform, they're two different topics, but they occurred at the same time. So they were going on at the same time and were two things that women were trying to change about their life to become less restrictive and more open for them. All right, so let's start with the fight for women's suffrage. So the fight for the vote is called the women's suffrage movement. So suffrage means the right to vote in political elections. A lot of people think suffrage is related to suffer in English. And I mean, these women did suffer to try to get suffrage, but suffrage means the right to vote in political elections. Now, the dates I will talk more about, but the general timeline for the right to vote was 1848 to 1920. Or 1965, which I will explain. So we're talking a long time that women had to fight to try to get the right to vote. All right. So 1848, so this date. Now, women had been asking for the right to vote since the early 19th century, 1820s, 1830s, probably earlier. But it was more of like areas of women. So they started coming more together. And in 1848, the women's suffrage movement had gained more strength for them to have a convention called the Seneca Falls Convention here. So the Seneca Falls Convention was held in 1848, and that's when the women decided to really organize their fight together for the right to vote. And these are two of probably the most famous suffragists, Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Unfortunately, neither of these women lived to see women get the vote, but they were very key players. They were very important to the fight for the right to vote. And they probably knew it was a possibility that they would not see women get the right to vote in their lifetime, but they fought nonetheless. All right. And sorry, the word suffragist means someone who fights for suffrage, fights for the right to vote. You may have also seen suffragette as well, but this was used originally as kind of a bad term for like, oh, look at the little suffragettes, they're cute. It wasn't a serious term. So that's why I use suffragist, okay? So 1920 is when women finally got the right to vote legally. So it was a long fight, about 100 years in the US, that women got the right to vote. However, it was mainly only white women. And this is important to mention because this fact is kind of forgotten in the history of women's suffrage. Because not everyone, I'm sorry, people tend to think 1920, women can vote, but it was only certain women. So it wasn't until 1965 when really all women got the right to vote. So it was over 100 years at that point. So in 1965, the Voting Rights Act was passed, acting against racial discrimination in voting, right? So 1965 was when all women got the right to vote. All right, so going on to the clothing reform, dress reform. So dress reform started in the mid-19th century because women wanted less restrictive clothing. So I have two pictures here. The one on the left is the typical shape of women's dress in the mid-19th century, 1840s, 1850s, 1860s. See, it has a big skirt, doesn't look very comfortable, and a very tight top as well. So the one on the right is called the bloomer costume because it was worn and created by Amelia Bloomer. And you can see that she still has the skirt, a little bit of the skirt, but she also has pants, which women were not allowed to wear pants and show their legs. Now, they're very modest pants. They're big, they're loose. So you still have the modesty of the outfit, but it's easier to move in. All right. So now Amelia, let me go back to the bloomer costume. I'm sorry. Whoop, I can't go back. Yes, there we go. Okay. All right. So the bloomer costume never really took off. It never was worn by a lot of women. And even Amelia Bloomer gave it up when this on the left, right here, came into fashion. It's called the cage crinoline. And that's what gave the skirt the really big round shape. Before, and this was an improvement, believe it or not, with what women wore before, because before, to get that shape, women wore mini skirts, layer after layer after layer of skirts. It was heavy. You couldn't move well. So the cage crinoline was lighter, you could move in it. So she gave up the bloomer costume for the cage crinoline. And this was the start of trying to get women's clothing less restrictive. On the right here, you have corsets. So the earlier ones, 1896, 1906, they're very tight on the torso. The 1906 one pushed your chest out and your back out. So it was like an S. It's called the S-shaped silhouette. Not very comfortable at all. But you see, closer to the time of the vote in 1920, the corsets get looser and they get less restrictive. So you're seeing changes that will continue to occur in 1920 and beyond. All right, so that's all I have for now.
Thank you so much. That was, again, very enlightening. I'm also really interested in fashion, as I've studied fashion before.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I would love to take your lesson one day.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, great.
So, yeah, it's interesting how it is still quite such a recent thing that, women were so restricted in what they were able to wear publicly, I guess, in many different
Even
cultures.
my mom's, yeah. I think my mom's
really?
generation
Yeah.
was, in the 1950s, 60s, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And the reform and also suffrage, which I wanted to. So, as you were saying, the word like suffragette, was that more kind of like a slur, like a derogatory term?
It was. Some of the women took it, like, in societies, disenfranchised people or minorities often take the slurs and make it their own to say,
like as in reclaiming it.
Yeah, exactly, like reclaiming it. So some of the women, we're suffragettes. I like it. We're going to use it. But it did start out kind of derogatory, like, oh, we're not taking you seriously. Look at the little women trying to do this. Yeah.
I see. Thank you for explaining. Yeah, I feel like that there's a similar word for that for like feminists. That is sort of more derogatory sometimes.
Right.
But it's very good to know. And I'll do like a short follow-up in Japanese as well. 今回こちらですね、suffrage っていうのは選挙権ですね。アメリカでI'm sorry. This is like about the voting rights in America. Am I right?
Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot to say that at the beginning. It's America.
Yeah. No worries. Thank you. はい。アメリカで女性が選挙権を手に入れた歴史についてだったんですが、それが本当まだ100年も経っていない話でして、つい最近どんどん最初は白人の女性だけが選挙権を手に入れて、で、そこからどんどん黒人の女性であったり、すべての女性が選挙権を手に入れることができたんですが、そういったところもちゃんと女性が裏で戦って選挙権を手に入れたことができたので、決してデモとかそういったところに行くのが、なんていうんですかね、意味はないとは思いませんね。こういう話を聞いていると。はい。っていうことですが、アメリカ、we got a comment that says, アメリカでの女性の権利の変化がよく分かって、so about they were really able to understand how the suffrage move. I'm not sure if we call it a movement, but like the history of suffrage in America worked, and that they learned a lot about it. So thank you.
Good.
Great.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good. And we can circle back to any other questions later. And then now we're ready for our final presentation by Bernie. Whenever you're ready. Oh, Ronnie, you're still muted. Sorry. Just a second.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ronnie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. Happy Women's Day, everyone. Can everyone see me?
Yes, we can see and hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. I talk with my hands a lot. So this is how to read feminist poetry. And I will talk more about the word feminist a little later. So this is how I read feminist poetry. There are many ways to read poetry in English, but this is one of them. Oops. Let me try that again. Okay, I'm going to try to share just part of my screen.
Okay. If you want, I could also try to share it for you because
Sorry
I feel like your the connection isn't as good. It could be because you're screen sharing.
Okay.
Maybe we'll just try. Could you turn off the screen share for once and I'll just share yours? And...
Okay. I think I made a couple of tiny changes though. So
oh, okay.
Just
good. Then let's just try
that.
that.
I can do this. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Thank you though. Okay. Okay, here we go. This is how I read feminist poetry. First, I like to read the poem quickly to find words that I do not know. And then I use Google to search for photos of them. I look at the photos as I read the poem again slowly. And then I ask, what does it mean to be a woman according to this poet? Here are some feminist poets. The first one is Anna Akhmatova. She's from Russia, and she lived from 1889 until 1966. The second one is Adrienne Rich. She is a Jewish American poet who lived from 1929 until 2012. And last, but certainly not least, there is Audrey Lorde, an African American poet who lived from 1889 until 1966. So this is a poem by Anna Akhmatova. I don't need legs anymore. I don't need legs anymore. Let them turn into a fish's tail. See how deeply I dive, clutching seaweed in my hands. But you, my distant one, what's this I hear? That for 3 whole weeks, you've been whispering, why, unhappy girl? I don't think she is the one who was unhappy. So let's ask, what does it mean to be a woman? I think Anna Akhmatova might say, sometimes a woman must take care of herself. This poem is Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. It's by Adrienne Rich. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen. Bright topaz denizens of a world of green. A denizen is a person, animal, or plant that lives in a particular place. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by, An ordeal is a hard time or a bad time. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. I think Aunt Jennifer is a little like a tiger deep down. So what does it mean to be a woman? I think Adrienne Rich might say, sometimes a woman is quiet on the inside, but quiet on the outside, but strong on the inside. This last poem is Coal by Audrey Lorde. There is a picture of coal there for you to look at. Some words are open, like a diamond on glass windows. Some words live boom, 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 in my throat, breeding like adders. To breed is to make babies. Seeking to explode through my lips, like young sparrows bursting from shell. Some words bedevil me. Love is a word another kind of open. I am Black because I come from the earth's inside. Take my word for jewel in your open light. So what does it mean to be a woman? I think that Audrey Lorde might say, sometimes a woman is told not to speak, but must speak anyway, and we all should listen. So what does a feminist believe? Very simply, a feminist believes that all people are equal and all women are people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that's a great ending and really important to be remembered that empowering women does not mean that we take things away from anyone else.
Yes.
And all people should be treated equal. That was a really interesting. I haven't read much feminist poetry myself so far. Are the three poets that you introduced just this time like some of your favorite poets or ones that you recommend?
Oh, other than these three, I really like Elizabeth Bishop and Sylvia Plath. I think I would call feminist too.
Okay, yeah, she's quite famous, right?
Yeah.
That's
And Anne
cute.
Sexton is another one.
Oh, yes. I've heard
You've
of
read
her
Sexton? I
before.
love her.
Yes, like not in like detail, but
Yes.
a little bit of her.
She's great. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think yeah, your lesson that you're offering this month is about feminist poetry,
It is.
if I'm right. Yes.
Yes.
So 今のちょっとこう、フェミニストの詩をちょっとすごく幅広くて深い世界だと思うんですが、ちょっと興味持っていただければ、ロニー先生は今月の国際女性デーと、カフェトークで行っている3月中の国際女性、月間って言えるですかね。それぞれキャンペーンのレッスンを提供しておりまして、ロニー先生のは女性たちによる詩を、本日の内容とかと似たような感じを、案内しておりますので、興味持った方はぜひ、そちらも見ていただければと思います。はい、thank you for sharing. I think you can stop the presentation now.
Thank you.
Oops. Oh, sorry, you are still sharing your screen. We'll figure it out. Okay, great. So これで取り急ぎ全員のプレゼンが終わりましたが、we got some more comments that we'd like to read to you. And one says that Roni Sensei, teacher Roni read a poem like with much emotion, which has inspired me. Thank you. So I think that's great. I also really loved the way you were reading those poems to us. And there's another comment that says in Japanese that they would love to know more about the poems that you introduced us and know more about feminist poems and literature. Okay, great. また、はい、ありがとうございます。コメント。先生も頑張って、もし興味あれば、レッスンの中でもまた紹介させていただきますので、はい。で、最後の方にですね、再度先生それぞれの自己紹介と、今回おすすめレッスンとかについて、話させていただきます。先にですね、ヤラ先生がちょっとレッスンがありまして、先にちょっと、はい、ちょっとお時間があり、出てしまったんですが、今回。So Yara had to leave early because she had a lesson, and I would like everyone to introduce themselves at the end. I'll just go ahead at first, and we'll just share the screen and talk about Yara's lesson a little bit. Sorry, just give me a second. ですね。So, here we go. So this time, Yara had the presentation that was also about forgotten women, and she is offering this month a lesson about more forgotten women and important women in history, which is based on the book, which she also recommended earlier. この Forgotten Women っていう本をベースにして今回プレゼンを主に作っていただいた様子だったんですが、もしこのヤラ先生のプレゼンに興味持っていただいた方は、ぜひこちらを、受講していただくことがおすすめです。一応期間、が限定とはなっていると思いますので、3月中に受けていただくことがおすすめです。はい。ヤラ先生自体ももともとはカナダ出身の講師で、現在はオーストリアにお住まいの方です。英語のレッスンやそれ以外、そうですね、音楽やヨガとかのレッスンもあるので、ぜひ興味あれば下のリンクから一度プロフィールをご覧になっていただければと思います。はい。And I think that's about it. And for everyone else, I think we could go the same order that we had everyone present. So if we could go with Landis and Carmen and then Roni. And if you could just tell us like your name again, how long you have been tutoring or teaching, what kind of lessons you offer, like categories, or like if there are any specific lessons that you offer, and maybe like a hobby of yours or something that you enjoy doing. Okay.
My name's Landis again, and I've been teaching English for about 10 years, and I've been with Cafe Talk for, math. It's about, I think 6 months or so, I think, about that, since last year sometime. So I offer, as a certified English teacher, I also have masters in history and archaeology as well. I don't offer classes in that though, no archaeology. But I have a wide variety of English classes, writing, speaking, pronunciation, children's classes, test prep, and then also my class on women's suffrage and clothing reform as well. That's my new class. I will also have a book club class coming up about the book The Secret Garden as well. I think that comes up this month or next month sometime, maybe this month. Yeah, and hobby, I love dancing. I used to be a dancer, mainly ballet. I, in my late 30s, my body does not agree with ballet dancing, though, so I do not dance as much. But I also like yoga and just trying to hike, stay active. Yeah, so that's something about me. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I just also wanted to pick up on a comment that said in Italy, on Women's Day, it's like a custom for men to get like the mimosas, the yellow flowers for women. Have you ever heard of like similar things that like in your region or like country, like flowers that represent Women's Day or anything like customs that people do? Not really. Sorry
People
for
forget
the.
about it here, I think.
Yeah, that's
Unfortunately.
understandable. All right, thank you. Great. And Landis, you are located in the US, right?
I'm kind of by country. So I'm in the US and the Czech Republic.
I see.
Europe.
So
Yeah.
you will travel around a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My
Okay,
husband is from Czech Republic, so we split our time.
I see. Where are you right now? by
The
way?
Czech Republic.
Okay. So you're
Yeah.
like in the European time zone then.
Yes.
Okay.
I am. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And yeah, if we could comment, if you could introduce yourself again.
Hello again. My name is Carmen. I'm a Spanish teacher. And the reason I started to be a Spanish teacher here in Cafe Talk was because I was living in Japan for 2 years. And I was teaching to my friends, and I really love to to speak with my own friends. And they told me, you must be a teacher someday because you are a very good teacher. And for me, it was okay. And then I started to do it because my point is I want to teach Spanish, but like real Spanish people we are talking about, like Spanish or Latin American. It's the same, but express yourself like normal people. And that's why I'm very happy to be here. And I'm in touristic guide, a graphic designer, a photographer, Latin dancer. So I really has got a lot of
Do a lot of
things to do.
things.
Yes, but I think all has got a nice things in common because I dance, so I have to record my dance. I can do it. Or maybe for a touristic guide, I have to comment, I have to share and express myself. This is so good too, to be a Spanish teacher. And I love Japan. I love Spain, so I think it's perfect to do that. And I will be in Japan from I think April again, and then I hope to offer more classes because now the timing in Spain and in Japan is a little bit difficult, but I will do my best. 本当に頑張ります。
無理せず。
So, yes, this is my. I want to share a little bit, only that this is my. I think you are watching that. My profile, I have here my lessons, the cultural differences, conversation, beginner lessons, and okay,
so do you offer Spanish lessons in English but also in Japanese or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I prefer to speak as we can do it in Spanish because when I was studying in Japan, Japanese, my teacher can't talk in Spanish, and for me it was like, okay, I have to make my best effort to do that, and I think it's the best way. But obviously, I speak always in Spanish because I want to. Okay, please be normalize that, and after that,
for the students
in English,
to get...
and for of course in Japanese. Thank you so much.
I see. Thank you. はい、カルメン先生は主にスペイン語 を教えてらっしゃるんですけど、英語でも日本語でも受講可能ですので、先生も日本語わかるし、スペイン語のシンポジウムとかも以前出てらっしゃるので、ぜひ興味あれば、プロフィールから一度確認してみてください。はい。So, have you been waiting to get into Japan for a while, or is that like a new thing that you're coming back?
Me is yes, because I wanted to come back to Japan in 2020 March. Pandemic.
Right. That
And
was
I was
just when the
waiting
borders
for
closed.
almost
Yeah.
for 2 years to come back. 2 years. And I hope now my visa is all is so fast. I just noticed that this week, and okay, you will come back from April. Oh my God, okay, 1 month. Okay, but I will be there again.
I see. I hope all goes well. Fingers crossed. I know many people have been waiting to get into Japan for
Yes.
2 years. It's
Yes,
been a
I'm
long
very
time.
lucky.
Yeah. 今度、カルメン先生は今のところ4月から日本にまた移動する予定ですので、その場合時差とかもなくなりまして、人によってはもっと、レッスンのお時間とかも合うかと思います。はい。Thank you. And then, yeah, Roni, if you could also go ahead.
Hello again, I'm Ronnie. I have a PhD in English and a certificate in teaching English as a second language to adults, but I've also taught children. I have been teaching for about 15 years, but I am new to Cafe Talk as of last month. I teach right now lessons in English with the theme of rock and roll, arts and crafts, cooking and bartending, and of course, poetry by women. I hope to offer soon some lessons on how to do everyday things in English, like how to eat at a restaurant in the US or how to shop at a convenience store, how to stay at a hotel, how to apply for a job, be for a job in the US. And I'm planning to offer some lessons for children as well. You can probably guess my hobbies based on the types of lessons I teach. I like music. I play the ukulele a little bit. I love arts and crafts. I like to cook. And of course, I like to read poetry and write poetry a little bit. If you liked my lesson today, I think you might also like my poetry by women class. So please take a look. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you so much. It was really great. はい、ルミ先生はまだ新しい講師ですので、講師経験自体はすごく長いので、ぜひ一度プロフィールで動画とか、どういったレッスンを案内しているか見ていただければと思います。で、そうですね。他もいろいろ本日勉強になったかと思いますが、Thank you everyone for taking the time and your presentations. I think this is really great, and I hope we can maybe turn this into an annual thing. For everyone's lessons, you have your usual language lessons, as well as this month you have made special lessons for the International Women's Day / month on Cafe Talk. So if anyone would like to check these out, these are at the bottom of the screen. And also we have a special page just for the International Women's Day. So you can check these amazing tutors' lessons and also other amazing lessons related to the International Women's Day over there. Yes, thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, I hope to see you again soon. Yeah, so 本日はI hope everyone here will have a nice day ahead. In Japan, it's already 9. So 皆さん、はい、良い夜をお過ごしください。ありがとうございました。はい。